And good evening. I'll call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Hampden Selectboard and Board of Health being held in the Townhouse Auditorium, April 14th, 2025 at 6 p.m. This meeting is being conducted in person and remotely using video conferencing technology. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Compliance with the Massachusetts laws. Anyone recording the meeting other than ourselves? Kristen Rivers from the Wilbraham Times. Hi, Kristen. Anybody else? Okay, so noted. Before I begin, I'd just like to say that this is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, and it honors the dedicated individuals who answer 911 calls and texts, coordinated dispatch emergency services, and provide crucial assistance in public safety. On behalf of the Select Board and the residents of the Town of Hampden, I'd like to express our gratitude and recognition of the vital role that these professionals play in keeping our community safe. The Wilbraham Regional Emergency Communications Center dispatchers are a group of highly trained, uniquely qualified, certified telecommunicators who commit to a high-quality service to the towns of Belchertown, Hampden, and Wilbraham, and our first responders, 24/7, 365. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank them and celebrate all of our emergency dispatchers who help make our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. First item on the agenda is minutes. We have minutes. We do. We do.
March 19th.
Okay, this is, we had a discussion of the regional, this is the joint select board meeting with the Wilbraham Select Board.
You decided to start meeting at 5:30 so nobody would know.
Right. I thought it was a good move.
It was good. I thought you said AM originally.
This discussion of the regional agreement, a rather lengthy discussion throughout. We're still discussing with them. And, okay, wow, a lot of points here.
Right. I'll make a motion to approve.
Out of necessity, a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is the April 7th regular select board meeting. We had a presentation by the fire department discussing the renovation and their expansion update. With a lengthy discussion. We appointed a new water commissioner, Dale Hatch, and we talked about the annual town meeting warrant review, CPA funds, some other issues regarding the town meeting. We signed the letter for a dog situation, issued liquor permits for the Hampden Senior Center, discussed the highway department budget briefly. Why is that in there? Oh, that's the, for the, buying asphalt and street sweeping and catch basin cleaning. And select board reports and town administrator report.
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So moving right along, we have an appointment to the Historical Commission. Hi.
You want to come up in front? So you want to be on camera?
I could sit down here.
You were just on sabbatical, Joyce. You weren't off the board,
I
right?
kind of was a sabbatical, yeah. I had previously been on the Historical Commission, stepped away due to family situation, and now I understand there's only two. They can't vote, they don't have a quorum, so I offered to reassign myself to that.
That's terrific. Plus, we have our 150th anniversary coming up.
That might be a little bit of work.
Yeah, that's great.
We won't be around for it, but we'd hope you would carry on for us.
I would hope I'm here in a couple more years.
Oh, no. So, but thank you for volunteering again.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Nice to meet you. I don't think I've met you.
Don Davenport.
Yeah, I know who you are, but anyways. All
Would
right.
you like an autograph?
No, thank you.
Motion to appoint Joyce Dunkley to the and the Historical Commission.
Second. Any discussion?
Last chance.
I know, what am I doing?
You could do it. You could do it. Good, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, thanks, Joyce, thank you.
Joyce, I don't
Oh,
want
I'm
to be
so
hanging.
sorry, I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
Thank you, Joyce.
Neighbor,
Okay. The next item we have on our agenda is the debt exclusion question for the fire department and a special election we have to schedule.
right, and as you said, the election is not only for the debt exclusion, but I guess we might as well talk about the fact that we've received a letter.
Right, we received a letter of resignation from one of our select board members who will be resigning effective May 19th.
We thank Craig Rivers for his service, and I understand it's unfortunate Craig isn't here to express, and he'll have an opportunity at the next meeting, I'm sure. But it would, the love that Craig has for this town can't be overstated, and it would take, obviously, quite a bit for him to make this action. We appreciate every minute he's given to the board.
And as John was saying earlier when he resigned, it was good to have someone who's younger than us on for a different perspective, younger than me.
Well, I was just saying, and he made the point that everybody is. Thank you. I get that, for catching that. So you've talked about a couple different dates. Obviously, it would be, I think, behoove us to have both on the same date so as not to bring people out twice. You want the ultimate participation. Don, you shared that there are timing issues both with the special election for selectmen, which we did in 2018, 2019, for Norm
2019,
Shaleston.
not 2019,
The town clerk has said it's a minimum of 64 days from the date of notice.
right?
So if we take that date of notice going back, it cannot be until sometime in June.
June 22nd.
Is the earliest or the earliest from that date?
June 22nd would be the earliest date to have the special election. Is that right? You could verify that? If we say we're gonna have a special election tonight,
Yeah,
June 22nd would be 60, how many days?
64. From the date of the letter being received or the effective date
The
of
date of us,
resignation?
the date of us,
The date of the town clerk receiving the letter?
the
or-
date of us saying we're gonna have a special election. We do the, so if we did that tonight, it would be June 22nd, is that a Monday?
To Sunday,
23rd,
yeah,
it'd be June 23rd,
64 days from when?
today,
tonight.
April 14th?
yeah,
Google says June 17th.
June 17th, so if we did it, that's a Tuesday, so we do the 23rd, there'd be plenty of enough days. All right. And then as for the fire department exclusion, we could wait until the town meeting. If the town meeting votes no, then it wouldn't go on the ballot. If they vote yes, then we can put it on the ballot on the same day, because we have to give 35-day notice.
Because that part, we can expand the ballot. Right now, we're going to set the ballot for a special election for
Right,
select
and
board
then we
members.
can add a question.
We can
to
add a
it.
question following the town meeting.
Right. Is that
Why
right?
not?
35 days from May 19th, May 12th is what date? What does Google say?
35 days from what, May 12th?
Yeah,
Yeah,
might be longer, 18 plus
yeah, probably a little bit longer.
19.
35 days from May 12th, 2025, Monday, June 16th.
All right, so the 23rd would be good, that covers both days. And that'll be before summer, so that people can,
Right, so we may want to, just to make sure, because we have to do that at a meeting. Our next meeting following the election will be the 19th. The 19th may not give us enough time. We may want to schedule a meeting for May 13th. Because we need the results of, to vote the question.
the question, right?
Because, I mean, after town meeting.
Yeah, unless we
don't-
voted that night, because we meet that night.
Right, but we won't know the answer from town meeting. We need the positive answer from the town meeting action.
Yeah, but
Article
what I'm saying,
19,
at the end of town meeting, couldn't we vote
well, we usually close our meeting, you know,
before the meeting?
Yeah, before the
okay.
town meeting.
So we'd meet the 13th. We could meet,
fine. Yeah, I'm just saying, just to make
we
it
could meet in
clear.
the morning on the 13th there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, want to make a motion?
With a motion to call for a special election for the purpose of electing a select board member to serve the remainder of the term originally elected in 2024, I believe,
Right, right.
for the date of June 23rd, 2025, and serve such notice to the town clerk and board of registrars.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Do we need to formally accept the resignation? Or we just, I mean, obviously the town clerk has.
I don't think it says that, but,
No, okay.
I mean, we can,
I'd rather do what Craig's here for the next meeting.
okay.
Now, we're not meeting until, I mean, the 22nd, because it's Tuesday next week.
Right.
Are we planning on having our stuff first and then the joint meeting, or joint meeting first?
I think the
and then our
joint meeting first, because we told them 5:30.
stuff? Okay,
Right.
we should show up at 6.
Oh, I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
We were over Thornton Burgess.
All right, you got that all? So you're gonna tell the clerk ASAP. And now you gotta, now you gotta change the,
We got to change it. You guys have to revote the warrant.
we have to revote the warrant,
You're taking it off.
the election part of the warrant.
Right. So I make a motion to open the warrant for the purpose of deleting the question listed at the end of the elected officers.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
I motion we eliminate the ballot question in the posting of the warrant.
Second. All in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Okay.
Motion to close and publish the town meeting warrant for the town meeting of May 12, 2025.
Second.
Will you sign, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
Did I sign this 7 times?
Yeah, typical 7 times 70, whatever it takes.
Okay.
We can do it different on every copy, so they're worth more at the end.
We have to do it different pins. Give it out, give one to, give one to,
Think about that, everyone in attendance. Like signing American Express checks back in the day, they never match. By the time you get down to the last one, nobody will cash it. Now we're dating ourselves.
you're really, we're gonna say you're really digging it over there. When we first used to go to
When I had my first one on a trip, I had to go for work to Egypt. You know, back then, of course, American, was good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you.
I'm sure you use them while going to Poland all the time with.
When we used to go to Poland, the communists were there, you could get, there was one rate for the, this isn't for publication, Kristen. You would get-
Statute of limitations.
You'd get one rate for an American citizen, one rate for a Polish citizen, and one rate on the black market. And you get into a cab and the guy would say, Americans? And we'd say, yes. You want to change your money? Yes.
Show us a samurai.
Yeah.
How it works.
Yeah. All right, annual town meeting warrant articles. What do you got?
Same was the last time.
Really?
Yeah.
At this point, are we expecting any change to any article we may have discussed from the region?
I have not heard
Or
of it.
possibly, there might be a change on the floor, perhaps they'll move no action or something like that. I think we've made our point fairly clear, but I don't know if they have the time to effect it, Don, based on what they have to do to get it on the warrant. Hopefully we'll have a chance to discuss that.
Well, I know I'm going to, annual operating budget. I'm questioning the Kubota,
Their Kubota?
their Kubota.
Yeah.
I'm questioning the
Fire road.
the fire road. And I'm questioning the flooring replacement at Green Meadows. Only because they firstly came in at 30,000, and when I said the lease says it has to be 35,000 to be a capital project, they came back with 35,000.
Right. Well, let's add G8, another room.
Was that a couple more rooms, so. So, I mean, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but if they put it in their operating budget, it'd be 30,000, Wilbraham would pay 24,000, and we pay 6,000. So that'd be saving us 29,000, right? From the 35,000. So there.
I'm also questioning the lawnmower for Park and Rec. I don't
Park
think
and
it's
Rec
been-
lawnmower.
I haven't seen the justification for it yet. And a lot of questions about where would you store it if you had it over there permanently. There's that small shed that's jam full.
Next to what's in that shed that you don't.
There's a shed? Secret shed? Oh, okay. Thanks, Dad.
Okay.
Get the drone up and check it out.
And then battery storage, through accessory dwelling.
That's all set.
That's all set, they're all set, yeah, they're all set with that. They're gonna meet, their hearing is Wednesday night,
Right.
the 16th. All right. And the solar lease amendment, that's the fence, moving the fence.
Right, and again, we have approval from both Concom and DEP for it, so it's just, I
When are they gonna turn that thing on?
think it's on.
Is it?
So, because he said a couple weeks ago, it was a week away, they had the final checkout. There's, the interconnect is always the big problem.
Yeah.
You know, making sure it's hooked into the grid. But I'll check with Steve. Upcoming things, I know we have, not on here, but I know Jonah wants to come and chat with us sometime, just the general, Jonah Keane from Audubon. Chance to check with the board and talk about other things besides what he talked about on his own.
Okay.
The only other article that is Article 15, any amount for additional repairs and renovations to Thornton Burgess. We haven't given advisory or request.
Oh, thank you.
Let
Let
him
me
out.
just go back before you mentioned that. So Article 8, Enterprise Fund for the transfer station. I sent you an email. Brian sat down with Jane and Lori today. Basically, the revenue stream really didn't increase, but of course, the expenses did. You know, the employees got the 2.5 COLA. We had the contract from McNamara, and it included, obviously, this year had another bump for hauling fees. So one thing, last year, we put in 20,000 from the tax rate, but that was because we had 18,000 bag charge. This year, we do not have a bag charge, but we are looking at a possible repair. Don, you've probably been up there.
Oh, yeah.
That's landing, whatever you call it, is not in great shape.
Yeah, it's in bad shape.
Mark is gonna be working with a couple people, get some estimate on what it's gonna take to fix that. Plus the fact that we think we're gonna be underfunded in terms of, you know, our expenses going forward. We're looking for, we have the numbers I've given to Brian for salary, for expenses, plus 15,000 from the tax rate. We are potentially looking at, and that I'll bring back to the board, an increase in the permit fee, but not the bag fee. I think the permit fee, which is a one-time charge, isn't out of sight. People who use the current vendors around here, they go up annually as well. I mean, so if an increase in the one-time charge, as opposed to the bag charge, isn't that bad. You're gonna, I think we're paying 65 now for a permit. could be, something like that. If it goes to 75, it's once a year. Your weekly thing, which is your bag, your yellow bag of either size, at this point would stay the same. So that'll be coming back. But right now, the impact to the, and we'll share that with advisory tonight, the impact to the tax collection would be 15,000 recommended.
Right. You'll tell them that tonight.
I forwarded it to Ryan and Doug as well. Yeah.
All right, what do you got? What do you have, I should say?
That's
It's down from last year. Last year was 20. Yeah.
decided number on TWB.
Okay, we have 100,000 left over,
Yeah,
So,
down.
yeah, there's
basically, right?
97,000 left from that prior appropriation.
Okay.
And your potential, you talk about, you're open for IT upgrades from the grant, the
No,
compact, or that's all set?
that didn't come through,
Oh, it didn't, all right.
but we can reuse we can reuse the existing switches for now.
I don't think so. Our use is nothing like what the school use would be.
Yeah, we'll check them out, but I'm not too concerned about those.
If you did nothing this time, the 100,000 plus we got the 15,000 in the budget from the, the school, we could, just 15,000 in there that we put in.
That expires at the end of this year.
July
We need to
1st, but you
spend
could
now,
probably do
Right,
something now with it. Could you get by doing nothing this time and waiting till fall town meeting and saying, okay, we have a better handle on how much we need to do? And just didn't put in for moving expenses?
I mean, I think it's going to come down to sort of a strategy thing in terms of the overall budget. So we have 97, I mean, we have the estimates for the cameras and the electronic locks. And those together total around 90,000, but that's just one vendor.
Then you have the moving fees on top, and that's
Well,
anywhere
the
from
moving
30 to 50, 30 to 50 or 60, wasn't it, between?
80?
There was a range for the moving fees, yeah. Yeah,
But the articles, what? There's two separate articles, right?
correct. One is for the moving expenses, which is 80,000. And then there's the second article for parent renovation costs.
Right. So we'd do the moving expenses, right? And then the repair renovation costs, we got $100,000, I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the critical thing is obviously the access and the camera part. I mean, to me, it's critical, especially the controlled access. The moving has to be done. Everything else, like you said, the building's in good shape. Nothing is critical. The ceiling's not falling down. The parking lot is serviceable. The roof is in pretty darn good shape for a building of that age.
This guy checked it out the other day.
The roof looks good.
Yeah,
It's a membrane roof.
yeah, and they've done a good job of
You stay on
keeping it.
top of it. If it starts leaking, you throw a new membrane on top of it. If you don't stay on top of it and you start getting leaks, then you gotta rip it all off.
I understand, but I'm saying for its
Right now,
age, it's in good shape, yeah. I applaud the school department for keeping it in good shape.
Parking lot needs a little patching here and there, and it should be sealed. My biggest concern of the whole place is the condition of some of the floors.
Yeah.
Because of the asbestos tiles.
I recall articles in the past, Don, you may as well, I thought they had remediated most of that. The only thing that wasn't done was cafeteria was encapsulated, not,
I'd say they did maybe half.
Yeah.
You think?
Probably.
Yeah, when we asked him about, I mean, there's some stuff back in the boiler room, but that looked all contained back there. It's there, it just has to be maintained, but there's a lot of tile floors that,
There's a couple rooms where they're starting to fall up.
are you
a little bit
talking
around the
rooms or are you
edges.
talking hallways? They think they did the hallways before, maybe they didn't do rooms, okay. Yeah.
the hallways didn't look that bad. Some of them needed work. And he's waxing them, but
Okay.
yeah, you probably oughta, I would start on it. At least the rooms that are bad.
That's the thing, I think we need a bit of a discretionary fund. Now, we could wait to see what the free cash comes in at and take it then. But it's so much easier to do these things without the people in place, especially if you're talking room work.
Yeah,
So,
you do it before you move, it's gonna be
right,
cheaper
much
than
easier.
after.
Right, and especially if they're doing it during the,
because-
possibly the summer.
Because
when-
once you put stuff in there, then you gotta move it out more ground.
Right, more cost.
If you do it now,
Mm-hmm.
you
So
gotta,
what are you thinking dollar-wise?
Well,
Start,
here's the thing, we got a sense of Green Meadows, we know how much they're looking at, 5,000 to 6,000 per room, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those,
really?
well, I'm saying, they're talking replacing, I mean, 35, and they were thinking about doing
5 to
7
6
rooms,
rooms, yeah.
I thought the last,
Floors?
Yeah,
the
floor,
last
yeah.
estimate was like 10 over there.
Yeah, I thought that's what's the maintenance guy's name? Bob?
Herb.
Herb, yeah, I thought he said it was around 10.
I thought he said it was around 10 or 20. Somewhere in that area. I mean, obviously, you got the receipts, you got a contractor, call them up.
I
get a
really
price.
would have thought maybe they're a touch bigger at Thornton Burgess, but about, those are pretty large rooms at Green Meadows, and
How many rooms do you think need to be done right away? 10?
No, more than that. At least half of the rooms over here, probably.
I don't know, I'd look for at least another 75,000.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, when I wrote that memo, it would coming out to around another 100 grand.
Yeah.
The question is whether it makes sense to do it from a budget standpoint, knowing the status of the current budget.
All right, and then you go back to, Don makes a good point about the 15,000 that they're now, but can you reallocate? You spend money on looking at the Title V septic thing, reallocate that bill towards the 15,000 so that your 100,000 comes back up. And nothing's spent out, because the 100,000 rolls over being a warrant article.
Yeah, that was about 2-3 grand.
I'm just saying, take it out of the 15, because that's gonna expire.
Yeah, we'd still spend the 12 before the end of the year.
And maybe the guy needs
Do
to
that,
come
the
in for a
septic
quote.
tank, yeah.
Guy needs to come in for a quote or something right now, take the quote money out of that money, if he wants to come look at the floors, and here's a, what do you call, who is it, Abide or whatever, somebody like that looks at floors for remediation,
Yeah, I mean, there's,
any of those
I
guys.
don't know the companies out here, but, yeah, I mean, they're doing work to the other schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing it up the road.
I'm just surprised that number, because like I say, you look at what they were talking about at Green Meadows, it doesn't jibe with the 10,000 per room.
What year was that? Does that have the hazardous building materials associated with it?
Well, they're replacing, maybe there's a cost to get rid of them that comes into the 10. But they were talking pretty much replacing the whole floor in
Right.
per room. And it's an ongoing thing, so many per year.
I mean, so there are some rooms where we don't have uses allocated. Yeah,
There were at least
Yeah,
10
we also-
that were bad. That,
Well, you have some high-traffic rooms, I mean, the rooms are given to the library, and the rooms to Park and Rec, where they plan on having a lot of people in them, I think those would be priority
Library's got a
rooms.
rug in there, right?
No, I'm thinking they're also getting 3 rooms off the front,
there's
3 rooms off the front.
some rugs there, but very few.
the ones along the front were problematic, I think.
Yeah.
Front, if you're facing the building in the front right.
That was gonna be the selectman's office too, also along the front too.
Oh, we have to have.
That was gonna be marble tile, I thought.
I don't think so.
No. So in my mind, it's the timing of it, right, in terms of,
Well, it makes sense to do it when people aren't in there, so let's
Let's work on getting some quotes too.
let's put,
yeah, I honestly think the numbers he told us were between 10 and 12 a room,
okay,
It just doesn't,
based on the,
seems like a lot, but,
unless there's more money, because Don, if the ones at Green Meadows aren't asbestos and these are, there's disposal costs on
yeah,
top,
maybe.
yeah.
Well, there's a whole different, if.
That's a whole
the
different
Green metals
bottle.
are just regular tiles, that's all procedure.
Right,
They got to come in. with
and it should be, because I
these.
think back in the big renovation in '02, would have been all taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they'll have to wet it down.
100,000, 100,000,
Sure.
sure, we'll see what they say.
Well, we take it from the Fire Road and the Kubota,
Yeah,
halfway there.
and the tiles of Green Meadows.
I just take the tiles from there, bring them over, or reuse them.
All right, what else you got?
I think that was the last one.
That's it? The warrant, okay, well, we'll talk to them about that when they come in. We have the highway superintendent employment agreement.
That guy.
Did we settle with that guy?
Hey, Mark. How are you? Good evening.
Evening. Oh, here it is here.
Nice job with the big storm this weekend.
Oh, gee, thanks. Now it's over.
Are the plows off or not off?
Plows are off.
Don't know how you got through it. Wow. It's been drifts up to 4 or 5 feet high.
We used our 3 best sanders. What's weird is you could have snapped a line across Main Street, maybe by the grog shop. And everything to the west was, the roads were snow covered, everything out this way was black.
Really? 'Cause,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
I couldn't
weird.
believe I woke up in the whole field and back with Green Meadows
Yeah.
covered in white. Like, what the heck
Yeah.
happened?
But we got it.
How about you, thought people, where you are in your elevation?
Up on the hill, yes. Yeah, oh yeah, up there we had to for a little bit, yeah.
Well, you want to stay on? Here's the question. You want to stay on?
I would love to, if the town would have me. I would love to.
Okay.
Any slide, any changes in here?
Yeah, a couple.
Does Mark know about them?
No. I mean, the only change that we were working on was page 4, that talks about compensatory time for winter weather responses. I think the only other the outstanding issue was like we listed the lump sum amounts of the 200, 250 for standby, right? But, right, there was something else about going $50 over the
Staying 50 ahead, but
employee's
then,
contract.
just,
But if it got stricken from theirs, then.
I just didn't want to,
That's-
right, and
that's
talking
where
with
the
Brian, I
problem is.
didn't want to commit myself to being attached to the other contract, so.
Okay.
And it becomes more difficult in terms of if contracts are stacked on each other, we can get siloed a little bit, and we don't understand the implications of this contract and how it impacts this contract, so.
What year are you in now?
I'm in year 9. I'll be starting year 10 in already,
All right.
July.
So right now, we have the vacation schedule. Basically, we're capping you at 5 weeks, is how it looks.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And we made some change to the health insurance language, because that was in a transition period during the last time, so that reflects a 75% payment of the health
Oh,
insurance
okay.
premiums, because that's my understanding as to.
Yeah, yeah. This is 3 years? 3 years?
Okay. Why did we pay for your driver's list?
My CDL,
CDL.
my
CDL,
oysters.
just, no, it just says driver's license, not, you know.
Oh, well, my driver's license is CDL, so
How often do you have to get that?
it's every 5 years, same as a regular driver's license, yes. CDL, I'm sorry, oysters is every 2. With the DOT cards and,
Okay. Mark, did you have a chance to look this over?
I did,
Are you happy with it?
I am, yes. And I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen and Brian for his help, and, yep. Select Board, sorry.
Okay. Looking for a motion to authorize, basically, the board to offer this contract to Mark Langone for his signature and commence the new 3-year contract period.
Second, any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So he'll type it up, you'll sign it, we'll sign it, and see you for the next 3 years, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We got them here.
Got him here, we got him
You
here.
can change it.
Oh,
In the back, you said that?
Yeah, and there's Gary back, there's two there.
Gotta sign this.
Those are the ones you, yeah.
Check, too.
You sure you're done with, sure we're done with snow?
yes.
Sure? What does your chart
Made
tell
the
you?
call today.
What does your chart tell you?
I've seen it snow on the 4th of July.
Really?
Yeah, it's never snowed in May before, right?
Not according to the. Dana had started an ongoing, like, history. I think the latest that's on there, going back, and even as recent as 21, 22 is April 15th. Thank you.
You can keep one of them, mark it,
Here's one for you.
right?
Yeah, make that.
Yeah, use
the
this
one-
one, use this one.
The one with the dot on it. All right, very good. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you for actually, it went pretty well. I think, thank you for, you know,
grab the-
how it worked out our negotiation.
Yeah,
Safety.
absolutely.
All right, select board members' reports.
Well, pretty good meeting coming up this week on the 16th. Obviously, the planning board is a public hearing. I encourage those who are watching to attend, either virtually or in person. All these things coming forward are leading up to the town meeting, and input now is better than asking the same question and possibly taking more time in town meeting. Right now is the time. You'll get better attention coming to these public hearings if you have a question. And it helps the planning board as well, because it tells them what people are thinking, if they need to, just like with going to Concom, if they need to tailor their presentation because there's some ambiguity. It helps the planning board quite a bit. I also appreciated that in my time on it. Seniors in the Building Committee, obviously met last week. We talked about that, and they're coming tonight to make their presentation as well.
The planning committee for the Hampden Wilbraham Regional School District, which I'm on, is meeting tomorrow evening to discuss the latest feedback from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education regarding the proposed amendment to the regional agreement. And there'll be a discussion of the recent Hampden Wilbraham Select Board meetings, and we've received a letter in response to our meeting from the Wilbraham Select Board, which we have yet to review because we just received it today.
We thank them for their dialogue back and
Dialogue,
forth.
yes.
How this should work. We look forward to their meeting.
On the
Secret
20th.
undisclosed location.
On the 22nd,
Gotta pick another room, Don.
right.
Brian?
Administrative report?
The water district sent out letters to all those eligible to hook up to the water district. Those letters went out 2 weeks ago, John, last week, 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago. You've had, as of Friday, you had 7 responses for people who are requesting to be hooked up. And there was one, as you know, there was one, a house that has already been hooked up due to high levels of PFAS in their drinking water. You've asked for responses due by May 1st, and right of entry forms need to be sent back by May 15th. So anybody who received a letter should be getting in touch with the water district if they want to hook up. We will be advertising for 2 positions with the highway department, probably this week sometime, right? Well, we'll be advertising for 1 position for sure, possibly 2 positions with the highway department. So if people are interested in that, stay tuned to the website. We have a draft of amendments to the ambulance agreement that I need to send to Action Ambulance. We had not received really any proposed contract language from them. So Don and I worked on putting together amendments to the agreement for the next 3 years plus 2 one-year options. And ARPA reporting is due April 30th, and that's when we need to confirm with the Treasury that we have obligated all of our remaining ARPA funds. And you recall the board did that with the awarding of the contract for the water district. And I need to follow up on the cable license agreement, because I need to hear back from Charter, and it's been like a week and a half, 2 weeks, so keep that moving forward.
On the water thing, so you mentioned you've gotten responses from 7 people. The process, if they don't respond, exactly what?
If they don't respond, I believe the water commissioners are going to treat it as, so there's an offer out there. So they don't respond to the offer lapses May 1st, essentially. Now, it would be in the discretion of the water commissioners if they want to change that, but the offer is, the deadline is to respond affirmatively by May 1st.
To do the actual hookup. Now, we have when's the construction starting? When does Balthasar thinking they're going to start?
We're talking about starting construction, not on the streets.
Right, they're doing the pump station first.
They cleared the trees out last week that they needed for the site. So they're talking about maybe Thursday, they're gonna start again, but I don't have anything nailed down.
So if we were to say that they're going to take a month to do the pump station, they possibly wouldn't be to the road work till June perhaps, or
I don't have any that's good.
no thought?
In the initial pre-construction meeting that we had, those 2 things, the water main extension and the pump house upgrades could go parallel. But they wouldn't do the connections until this fall. So they want to have the pump house upgrades done, water main extensions done, so that way they can turn on the.
So they do
turn
the
on
road
new
work,
system.
they run the main pipe, and then they're stubbing off at every potential location.
Yep, they're stopping at every single possible location.
Right, so if they said they took the rest of the summer to do all the road work, the pipe is in the road, and Bill Brown from Scannick says, I never got back to you in a letter, but I'd like to hook up. There's no downside to us for letting him hook up, because we haven't done something that prevents him from hooking up. We
So-
haven't hooked up anybody else.
So, I mean, I think that's a decision that the water commissioners would need to make. Balthasar is looking to order now and get
Right.
pricing locked in, so it would be a change order to the contract, which would likely be more expensive.
Which would be water meters and piping to the house, basically.
Yeah, and whatever's happened between the cost of materials and that, between now and then.
We would just like to
Anything else?
That's it.
Well, as the construction is going on, because if we're gone past their home, they come back, well, I changed my mind. Could affect the cost, affect total cost.
Right, but you're doing, I think what Brian said, you're doing all the road work, you're running the 4-inch line around the road, and you are potentially stubbing at every location, even if they said yes or no.
Yes.
So there's been no investment per se that we haven't, the stub is there. We're not hooking up, House A says I'm hooking up, House B says I'm not, but House A isn't getting hooked up to the fall anyhow. So there's no loss to the town by not doing both at that time. Right, okay.
Yeah, except that the fact that it would be a change order. So Balthasar's going to,
If we change order
Make-
the other way,
make
we
a-
might
make an
save
order.
money if they don't hook up, right?
right, that's the other thing to consider is when do the water commissioners say, okay, that's it, now we'll do a change order
Right.
to take them off, right? So, yeah, but that's the general timing of the project as I understand it.
Okay.
Anything else
That's it.
to come before the board?
Oh, sure.
What we'll do, but
What was shown, what was Audubon's thing, Matt? Or you want to have?
So basically, Jonah wants to come back and talk about their plans, future, obviously, we talked about the invasive species, what did you last time, but they have, you might want to mention, basically, what did he send us today?
Yeah, that's actually the one that I was thinking of. I wasn't thinking of the pitch pine one. Mass Audubon's going to be having an educational walk, right? I think it's May 3rd. That's not about right?
I just posted that today.
You did?
Yeah, Jonah reached out to me
Yeah.
and wanted registrants for that, so
Is May 3rd?
I believe so.
Oh, here it is.
We have our cleanup day too. What day is that?
That is coming up.
I'm sorry, 26th,
26th?
yeah. Of April.
And we have a new selection of shirts. I can't remember what color I ordered this year, but I think it's something for your collection, Don, you'll like. Yeah.
Here.
Okay.
It's your 4th year in the program, you now get your name on the back.
I wear it golfing once in a while.
Really, just-
May
Spend
3rd,
a lot of time in the woods.
May 3rd, 10 to 11:30. Mass Audubon's having a ecological management walk, and they're going to talk about certain management practices that they're going to be undertaking over the next couple of years to really keep that land in tip-top shape, I guess. So program is free, but registration is encouraged. I assume there's a registration link.
There it is.
There it is.
Well, I do
We'll
have,
post this on the town website.
I do have, the master plan is complete, right? The planning board will be reviewing it on this Wednesday, the 14th, the 15th, right? 16th, and for approval, and they're presented to the select board on the 22nd.
Now, does that require town meeting
No,
approval
that
in the
doesn't
fall?
require commenting, it's just, it really just requires planning board approval and select board kind of, so. All right, anything else? So we're gonna leave the Zoom open. Can you mute it? Because people will be coming in. So make a motion to adjourn, please. Do we adjourn?
Right. You're not muted yet, are you? Okay.
No.
So basically,
Don't mute yet.
the advisory committee is going to come up here. They're going to take the chairs on the big side.
All right,
They'll run their hearing. The select board business is finished, but Don and I will continue to answer any questions they may have for the board
all right.
at
yeah.
that time.
Then we'll adjourn at the end of that.
Basically, we'll adjourn at the end, yeah.
Okay,
Unless we walk out and discuss now, which has happened before.
which is done before.
Oh, yeah.
Adjournment by default.
Right.
You lose your
Have
quorum.
we done that?
What?
You lose your quorum. Adjournment by default.
So are we muted? Can we just
Welcome to the, hey, Phil, hey, we're going to start the meeting. Welcome to the public hearing for the advisory committee. Most of you who are here have been here before, know what the procedure is that we're going to follow. I would ask people to engage with questions as we review the different articles, and don't hold it to the end. Let's have more of an interactive type of a discussion here. This is an opportunity for the advisory committee to receive public input on the various articles before we vote our recommendations. There are copies of the warrant and the budget in the back if anybody doesn't have them. Unless anybody has any questions, I'm going to begin with Article 1. Actually, before I even get to Article 1, you'll note that there is a section here for consent agenda. The moderator intends to bring forward a procedure which is called consent agenda. He apologizes he couldn't be here tonight, having had something come up. But the proposal is that the first, I believe it's 6 articles, which are the standard articles that we see each year, be taken as one vote, as a consent agenda, and voted as a single vote. I'm sure Rick will explain that in more detail at the town meeting, but that's just to give you a sense that those are probably going to all be voted in one fell swoop. So with that, Article 1, town reports. Anybody have any questions or comments? Town report. Article 2 is the spending limits for the revolving funds. These are the standard revolving funds which we carry. Article 3 is Chapter 90 state highway aid, whether we vote to accept that. Article 4 is the library additional state aid, also a vote to accept that. Article 5 is the conservation fund, the $1,000 that we appropriate every year for that. Article 6 is the assessor's funding for state mandated programs. The request for that is $16,000. Does anybody have any questions on those first 6 articles? No? Okay. Article 7 is the annual operating budget. Advisory has met with all of the departments over the past couple of months. We've reviewed the budget requests. We've engaged in discussions. And we've refined the requests to what you see in front of you tonight. This contains the expended funds for 2024, the appropriated funds for the current year, and the requested amount for the coming fiscal year 26. What I'm going to do is take them by each main group. If anybody has any questions as I go through these, please speak up and we'll address your concerns. So Article 1.0 is the accountant. The amount requested is $88,184. 2.0, the advisory committee, $6,345. 3.0, the Board of Appeals, requested amount $9,634. 4.0, the Board of Assessors, requested amount $178,457.
Doug,
Yes, Rita.
on all of these, for salaries, is there simply a percentage that is there, or is it going to change, or?
Thank you. I should have mentioned it at the outset. The consensus among the advisory and the select board treasurer accountant was to use a COLA of 2.5%. So all of the salaries that are non-bargained have a 2.5% COLA, plus whatever step those people are on. So as I'm sure you recall, every 2 years, people move up a step, which amounts to about 1% a year on average.
So on principal assessor.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
The principal assessor,
4.2,
the principal assessor is an increase, it's the COLA, and there's an increase in hours and an increase in, change in grade. So it's a mixture of the different things. The assessors met with us and had a discussion about the reasons for that. I don't know if we have any assessors
It
here.
wasn't a grade change.
That was not a grade?
No, it was just the COLA and went from 35 to 40 hours. The request.
So it's an hour, the hour increase plus the COLA. Yeah. If you have any other questions about that, we can try to have the answers for town meeting, okay? 5.0, building department, total request 144,247. 6.0, county retirement, the amount billed us by the county retirement, $926,946. 7.0, insurance, $1,030,998. 8.0, law and claims, requested amount $75,000. 9.0, moderator, $100. Actually, he didn't request that, but we're including it. 10.0, planning board, requested amount $42,167. 11.0, the board of registrars, requested amount $8,955. 12.0, selectmen, total request $190,487. Let me just make a note here that the expense line 12.4, you'll notice there's a jump in that. We've included the board's request of an additional $17,000 for expenses associated with town meeting. And those expenses are the audio-visual system, the microphones, the, Brian, what do you call those clickers? Is that what they're called? The clickers. So,
Yeah, it doesn't include the clickers.
oh, it does not include clickers. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it did.
Hire the company to.
So this is the cost of AV for 2 town meetings. We had discussion, and we'll probably have more discussion on whether or not to break that out as a separate line, town meeting expense, as opposed to the general expense for the select board. But for purposes of the budget, we want to make sure that we capture it, so that's where it is. 13.0, tax collector, total request $93,810. 14.0, town clerk, total request $101,644. 15.0, town report, total request $4,000. 16.0, treasurer, total request $96,568. 17.0, veterans benefits, total request $20,000. 19.0, town administrator, total request $145,000. Total general government request $3,162,542. Moving on to general town services, 20.0, academy hall maintenance, request $5,500. 21.0, cemetery commission, total request $51,286. 22.0, conservation commission, total request $43,809. 23.0, transfer station, total request $100,000. 24.0, school building repairs, no money requested for that. I'll put a 0 in there. 26.0, library, total request $210,826.
27.0, town events, total request, $3,500. 29.0, office equipment, total request, $123,000. 30.0, Parks and Rec, total request, $159,177. 32.0, townhouse maintenance, total request, $182,000. 34.0, ambulance. Connie?
What's the facilities manager, 70,000?
That's a request from the select board to bring somebody on board to basically oversee the town properties.
So that's not just for the townhouse, is that for all
Town properties.
town properties? So the TWB would be included in that, and,
Academy Hall, the firehouse, the police station. Don?
Well, I was gonna say, Jane has been our de facto facilities manager, she's leaving, so we divided up that position, and hopefully create this position, because we're adding Thornburgers, the townhouse, the fire station, and all the other, that person would take care of that.
Anything else, Connie?
is this facilities manager going to inspect the buildings on a regular schedule? Because,
The regular maintenance go, yes.
okay, I'm gonna say this now, I don't know when it's gonna come up, but I'm sure it's going to come up. The senior center, the gutters, I know that there's something about the roof, I don't know if that's in there, but those gutters should be replaced, they should be larger gutters, because they don't clean them, they're not working. Water is coming out.
Connie, not to interrupt you, but as luck would have it, there's a request on for the senior center to have some money tonight.
Okay, and
All right.
the senior center, when the roof should also include gutters, and I don't know whether it does, so when that comes up, if you can consider that, please.
Becky, please consider that.
On it. The highway department actually maintains our gutter. It's up to them as well.
So, okay, let's move on.
But point taken, point taken. There's a lot of details that have to be attended to, and Jane is going to be missed greatly.
Yes, she is.
And we're all going to learn all the different things that she did and we weren't aware of. Any further questions or comments on that? No? Okay. See, I did Parks and Rec, townhouse maintenance, ambulance. Yeah, ambulance, $340,000 requested. 35.0 gasoline, total request, $65,500. 36.0 street lighting, total request, $30,000. 37.0 council on aging, total request, $220,396. 38.0 senior center, total request, $43,250. 39.0 historical commission, total request, $400. Total general town services requested amount, $1,578,644. Moving on to the highway department, 40.0 superintendent salary, total request, $109,101.
109,
Oh, excuse me, 109.
109, 109.
40.1 department payroll, total request $317,728. 41.0 tree warden, total request $60,931. 42.0 public grounds, total request $4,385. 43.0 highway maintenance, total request $315,672. 44.0, general highway expense, total request, $18,300. 45.0, snow and ice, total request, $125,000. 46.0, contract services, total request, $63,700. 47.0, other highway accounts, total request, $21,000. 48.0, building expenses, total requests, $16,250. 49.0, radio lease agreement, total request, $10,000. Total highway department, total request, $1,062,075. Moving on to protection of persons and property. 50.0, animal inspection, total request, $6,647. 51.0, emergency management, total request, $6,200. 51.5, traffic control, total request, $15,000. 52.0, dog officer, total request, $15,490. Fire department, total request, $481,572. 54.0, forest fire control, total request, $1,800. 56.0, Board of Health, total request, $93,498. 56.5, Water District request, $21,500. 57.0, Police, total request, $1,693,514. 58.0, other police accounts, total request, $2,206. Total police, $1,695,720. 59.0, police and fire communications, total request, $30,035. 59.1, regional dispatch services, total request, $93,750. Total protection requested, $2,461,212. Moving on to the schools, the regional school district request, 69.0. The total request, $8,857,717. Moving on to local debt, the total local debt that the town has is $684,319. Bringing the grand total of all of the requests to $17,806,509. Anybody have any questions about the budget before we move on? Okay. Moving on to Article 8, the enterprise fund for the transfer station. John, looking for 15,000? Article 9 is the funding for the town's 150th anniversary. The request on this is $10,000. Is this the second year we've done that? This is the third year. So basically what we're doing is we're building up a fund that we can then use to throw a proper party at the 150th. And I believe the select board is going to be looking for members of that committee, so if anybody's interested, contact Brian, please. Article 10, school resource officer. The total request on this is $12,629. Article 11, prior year bills, none that we're aware of. Article 12, the local option is an additional veterans exemption clause under section 22, or clause 22J. I don't know if anybody has any questions, anybody wants to make any comments on this?
That's for town taxes.
This is for town, this is for real estate taxes, yes. It basically increases the exemption from $200 to $400 for veterans.
That doesn't seem like that, that's not right.
I thought that's what it was, no?
No, it's for, there's different categories.
Go ahead.
Different categories. There's, if you're disabled, military service connected, 10%, it could be $400, we're looking to double it to $800. And then if you're 22E, if you're 100% disabled, because of your military service, you'll get $1,000, we're looking to double it to $2,000. Out of that, out of the first one, so out of the $400 originally right now in place, the state does reimburse percentage of that. The other,
What percentage does the state?
it's a straight fee. So what happens is if you are, say, $400, the state reimburses you $225. The first $225, and the town's on the hook for the rest. So option, the HEROES Act give you the option of each town to double it. So that's what, but the towns doesn't get reimbursed for that.
For the additional, that's entirely on the town. How many people file for the exemption currently?
Right now, there is roughly 70 people. There's about 47 getting the 400, and then there's 22 getting the $1,000.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, John.
So it's not a sliding scale then? So if you're 10% disabled, is that what you're saying?
So if you're 10% to pretty much 90%, you are, it's a straight, it's $400.
Yeah.
Then if we want you to 100% disabled, it goes to $1,000.
So what if you're 50%?
You get 400. Not unless permanently blind, lost a limb, that's all different. There's different categories, different prices for all that.
Okay.
But right now, the town only has
10 and-
400 and $1,000
Yeah.
to get their time.
Gotcha. Okay.
We also have surviving spouse.
Yeah.
We have 3 of them.
Okay.
Are the assessors in favor of this? Is this your article?
It is.
This is your article? You're in favor of this, obviously? The assessors are, yes? Okay. Any questions on that?
We can't really be in favor of it, but we understand it and we help Jason work it.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure there'll be some questions because it's a little confusing the way it's set up, but.
Let me try to, so we have 47 people currently, and it changes each year. They receive $400. It's a disability of ranking 10% or more. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are 8 categories to chapter 22, depending on loss of limb or foot or blind or. My dad was blind, I mean, you know, stuff like that. Stuff like that is terrible. And we have 22 in class 22E, which are 100% disability. And I don't know if you've gone through the Veterans Disability Program, but I mean, it's not a rubber stamp. It's doctors and the whole hospital and the whole work. So what 22 does last year, the state said the towns can have the option of up to 100% match of the chapter 22 taxes. Never could do that before for the veterans.
So you're looking for 100% match from the town?
Yes,
Okay,
100% of the 400
Yeah.
and 100%
of the 1,000, got it.
So if I'm understanding that right now, we're abating, maybe it's costing us about 40,000, And you're talking about doubling it?
This is projected to cost $40,800.
Yeah, that was pretty good by that. So our exposure is an extra 40,000
And it's not over.
out of overlay, yeah.
All right, thank you. Article 13 is, well, Articles 13, 14, and 15 all involve Thornton Burgess. Article 13 is a vote for change of purpose. That property was acquired by eminent domain, taken for educational purposes. Town council has recommended that the town vote a change of purpose or change of use if we're going to use it for anything other than a school. Any questions or comments on that? Article 14 are the moving costs of moving offices from the townhouse to Thornton Burgess. The amount requested here is $80,000. Last year, the town appropriated $100,000, of which, Brian, was it 97,000 that's still available, roughly?
Yeah, the only thing that's been spent on was the investigation of the status of the septic system.
Yeah, so the intent is to take the remainder of that appropriation, add this 80 to it, and use that for the moving costs?
Well, there are various other things to be used as well. There are some remediation issues. Brian has a couple of quotes for the moving costs that could be used against the 97 that's left. We also have 15,000 in school building repair that will expire by June 30th, but can be utilized for cost at Thornton Burgess at this point as well.
All right, so there's some funds available.
Right.
Yeah. In addition, Article 15 is a request for funding for repairs and renovation of Thornton Burgess. And the amount requested here is the 100. Is that correct? So 80 for the moving and 100 for the renovations and repairs?
Right, we have some concerns. The roof is in good shape. There was a walkthrough last week, and we thank Thad and others for going with Brian, but we have concerns about the floors, that there may be asbestos. We need to get that remediated now before the roof happens. Obviously, a lot easier to do the work, not furniture anyway.
All right, any questions, comments on that?
Yeah, do we know if there is asbestos in municipal?
We're gonna look into that.
I'm
sure there is.
This 100,000 would be for, that obviously has to be done before anything else can be done.
Right, other upgrades, Connie, that need to be done, access control, cameras. Brian has a pretty good plan for how to lay out the building that he's brought to Don and I. So obviously the library's here, Park and Rec is there. Different boards have different times of use. Different parts of the building need to be sectioned off when the library's in use, but nothing else is. You've been to the school, you know where the double doors are, but they're not under control. This needs to be done just like, my gosh, I'm sure the school is the same way. You can remotely lock off a corridor or something like that. That's an upgrade that needs to happen before anybody goes over there. These are some of the costs.
An upgrade might be new doors.
It could be as well, you're right.
So, I mean, I'd hate to see us upgrading those doors somehow and then realizing that we need new doors because they're obviously not energy.
You're 100% right, it could be just a whole replacement. Obviously with the electronic control, some of the doors, when you and I were there, are going to be upgraded.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues that have to be addressed. Anything further on Thornton Burgess before we move on? All right, Article 16 is a lawnmower for the highway department. I believe the number on this is 23,000. Mark, that right?
Yes, not to exceed.
Not to exceed 23,000.
It'll most likely be less, but just
This is replacing an existing piece of equipment?
Correct.
Okay. Article 17 is a lawnmower for the Parks and Rec. The number here I have is 25,000.
So so can I speak about this mower, Doug, a little bit?
Sure.
I had the opportunity to watch the April 2nd select board meeting. There's a lot of inaccuracies discussed about this lawnmower. So if I can just set the record straight on some of those things, would that be okay?
Within reason, yep.
Okay. It was suggested that the Memorial Park mower has been mowing Memorial Park and TWB fields all along. That's not true. The Memorial Park mowers never mowed TWB fields before. It was suggested that the highway will be doing the bulk of the mowing at TWB. When we originally, Mark and I sat down and had a quick discussion about, if we were to move over to TWB, what kind of the mowing situation would be. We kind of agreed that highway would take from the parking lot to the road, and that the Parks and Rec would handle the side fields and the sport fields in the back of the building. So on a quick Google Maps, it looks like that'd be about 93,000 square feet for the highway department, which is 2.15 acres. The Parks Department would have 276,000 square feet, which is 6.3 acres to mow. The only reason I'm saying is it seemed like there's some negative sentiment from the select board and the advisory committee, and I just want to dispel these inaccuracies that were discussed. And same thing on the mower price of $25K. I don't think I actually ever gave Brian a price, but I have a quote for 18 in my inbox, and we wouldn't be asking for more than 20. So that's, a 20% less than it was discussed at the meeting. It was suggested that this mower would be used only occasionally at the meeting. That's not the case. I mean, we'd probably be looking to mow.
What number do you want it?
20,000.
20,000?
Can I ask you a question? So would this new mower be used for both Memorial Park and TWB?
So it would be used for both in a contingency capacity. So the idea being that, we do have a mower at Memorial Park. It is 5 years old. It has 1,000 hours on it. It's probably about at its half-life. The plan would be to purchase this mower to handle the bulk of the mowing at TWB and sort of provide longevity to both mowers. If you have, we have a 1,000 mower. If you're a two-car family, you generally don't buy your two cars together in the same year, right? So if you can stagger those costs, you stretch out the length of the mowers, considering that they're used less and not taxing one individual mower. And so it would also provide us a contingency plan if one of the mowers broke down. Then where are we? Then we gotta rely on Mark or a contractor to come in and take care of the yeah, so the average lifespan of these new mowers is about 2,000 to 2,500 hours. And what else do I have for you guys? We did look at alternatives to purchasing a new mower, because yeah, that's expensive. A $20,000 mower is expensive, but we looked at trailering. Parks and Rec has a limited maintenance staff right now. We have one guy that does about 30 hours per week, and if he had to spend approximately 3 hours loading, trailering a mower over back and forth to TWB, we're a small department and we need to be efficient, and that's not efficiency. I presented possibly sharing a new mower at TWB and getting a schedule going to have, me mow on Tuesday, Friday, or whatever. There's headaches with that too. Who takes care of the maintenance? If somebody breaks it, who fixes it? If the weather pushes back the schedule for the mowing. Then I thought about contracting a landscaper for a year in order to see, we don't really know what's happening with TWB yet, but maybe as a holdover, looking at contracting it out to a landscaper, you're probably looking at half the cost of a new mower anyway, so why not just bite the bullet and buy the mower? It was also suggested about taking a hand-me-down mower from the highway department. Parks and Rec seems to get all the highway department cast-offs. But, I don't know how many mowers that has. I don't know how many hours that mower has on it. Mark does a great job. I don't know how that was maintained. We seem to get these hand-me-downs when they're at the end of their useful life and they start needing major repairs. So that's more money out of our bucket. And we just kind of want to start fresh and, and have a good mower that's going to last us.
Dan, has Parks and Rec been mowing the playing fields at TWB?
No, the highway, the school department took care of that.
The schools, excuse me?
The school district.
why did I think that there was an agreement that the fields would be mowed by Parks and Rec?
It was always done by the school district. We trailered over there one time to mow, we got over there and they had already done it. It was, I mean.
And the school took their mower?
Yeah. You know, there was also discussion about where we would store the mower when we have it over there, if we were to get a mower. My hope would be that we could use one of the maintenance rooms with a bay door to store it like the school district did.
All right. John?
Just a couple of points here, and I appreciate the comments from Dan. In the absence of any head-to-head conversation between Parks and ourselves, I do recall several years back, Parks and Rec came to the select board looking for an article for a truck because they had a need to bring a mower back and forth to Thornton Burgess. And it was, they felt kind of hard on Mark to keep bringing the mower back and forth for them. And that's when the board said, well, why don't we provide you the truck from ahead of schedule from the highway department and a trailer as well. Because they said, this might have been before you were on the board.
Do it.
But they made the point that they were doing the mowing at Thornton Burgess, and that's why they needed the truck and trailer.
That's my recollection.
Right, that's what was happening, Dan, and that's what we knew.
Okay.
And in absence of any conversation to our board, that's what we have to go on.
Yeah, sure, that's great, and, you know, I'd like to, you know, since I started in September of 2023, we haven't mowed T fields one time. But, so what I would like to say is, like, you know, if anybody, select board, advisory, has any questions about requests that Parks and Rec is making, I mean, I have an open door policy, please feel free to come in and ask questions. If it's something you disagree with, you know, I can provide you the points about where I arrived to come to the decision to go for a mower. You know, I just want you guys to be able to make patient decisions on accurate information. And I was surprised when I watched that meeting that there were all of these things that were just inaccurate. So, you know, it goes both ways. I can go to YouTube, but that's why I'm kind of bringing that tonight, is because after seeing that meeting, I was like, well, none of this is correct. So I don't want you guys to make a decision on inaccuracy.
I'm sorry, I just have one other question, if you don't mind. So the decision for the Park and Rec to take over the mowing of the playing fields, what have you, in the back of TWB was a conversation that you had with the highway superintendent, and you two different departments agreed on this amongst yourselves? Okay.
So nothing in stone, nothing written down. At that time, very early, when about the decision to move over to TWB, it was sort of like a, hey, you know, it might be a good idea to move over to TWB, and Mark and I are just planners, so we're trying to get our ducks in a row is all.
Okay.
Open to any other suggestion on that, for sure.
The truck's no longer needed?
We use the truck for carrying mulch, we use the truck for plenty of other things.
It was, I know, because I was involved with that truck, it was specifically to move the lawnmower back and forth.
Okay, well, I'll just say, if you guys want the truck back, you can have it, because it's been a money pit for us.
Yeah, I just, no, it was,
More the concern.
there was a lot of expense.
What's that?
There was a lot of expenses last year with the truck to keep it maintained.
Yeah, us, that we.
Yes, I know, yeah. I mean, you had provided that to us. And if my memory serves me right, it was, I think there was like a bill for over 12,000.
No, I don't think it was that much. I think it was a $3,000 item.
There was some
I don't
breaks.
remember a 12.
Okay, I mean, total?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
How's the senior center and police department?
Well, it's interesting you ask that. The question was, how are the senior center and the police department mowed? The highway department mows the senior center, and the police department has a landscaping contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, back to your question a little bit. So the Memorial Park agreement that we have is that the Parks and Rec takes care of the sports fields, the ball fields, and that the highway department does all of the outside parts of the park, like the non-sports field sections of the park. So we were just kind of, in our discussion, we were just kind of continuing that agreement that we've had in Memorial Park.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions on the lawnmower, Article 17? No? All right. Article 18, senior center repairs and renovation. I understand the number for this is 230,000. Is that 230? And if I understand it correctly, Don, that's the roof, it's windows, it's doing some compliance with the bathrooms.
Bathrooms up to code.
Yeah.
And then some work on the septic system.
Oh, that's right, septic system. Can you also put the gutters on that list, please? Yeah,
Problem with the gutters, we'll check into that.
all right. I know the building committee has put in a lot of time and sharpened their pencils on this number. Does anybody have any questions on this? No? Okay. Article 19, fire station repairs, renovation, and expansion. So we have Mark here.
Ed's here too.
Oh, Ned, I'm sorry. I don't know. Rather than me speaking to it, do one of you want to give a quick summary of what the article involves?
Sure. So I won't go too far back into history, but basically what we have in front of us is a plan for the renovations and expansions to the fire station, which has been, kind of going on for about 7 years now, between studies, different proposals, different configurations, new station, remodel. We put an RFQ out last year. We hired an architectural firm out of Rhode Island to come up with a design that basically takes the 2020 Mitchell report, which was done, which listed that, outlined very exhaustive analysis of the station, the pros and the cons of what's good and what doesn't work. And we've come up with a design that accommodates what we need now and also try to look forward to the future. The project, as it stands right now, and we met with the Selectboard last week, in today's construction dollars, was basically $7.9 million. Now, what we have gone back and forth with don't have a final number in the sense of what should we do with an escalation? Because even if this got approved right now today, we know we're not looking to start for a year. So we actually really need to bring a number forward that would be what the construction cost is today, plus an escalation of next year. So being conservative and saying 5%, again, nobody knows what's going on in the market. We don't know from day to day. A 5% escalation on that 7.9 would be basically 8.3 million. That's just a quick kind of 10,000-foot sort of view of where we're at. You've seen it through some of the building committee meetings, or at least the planning meetings, some plans and what have you. We have now, just got it today on the way over to the meeting, kind of a final sort of addition of what it would look like, but it hasn't changed from what's been out there already, just in 2 weeks. So kind of high level sort of hierarchy, that's what the project is. Certainly addressing the spatial issues that the fire department has, and certainly health and safety issues. The building is structurally in decent shape, but it has a lot of other defects, basically, that need to be addressed.
Mark, does that 7.9 have the typical contingencies for the various parts of the project? So
Yeah, the 7.9 has in there a 7% owner contingency, and it also has a 15% soft cost already built in there, which
Right.
would include, certainly an OPM, the owner's project manager included to there, plus the normal other fees that we associated. But yes, that 7.9 is soft costs, which is roughly about $975,000, and owner contingency of 7% is included in that 7.9. So again, that's sort of the total today's, if you were gonna build it today.
And have you received any advice as to what to anticipate in terms of what's going on in the world?
Nobody wants to go that far. It did kind of get brought out too that, some people say, well, if we are sliding into sort of maybe a recession or what have you, there could be possibly more companies bidding on a project like this, because there might be less of them,
Oh, it's the best time to build.
best time to build.
Yeah.
Again, there's no crystal ball, but I think a 5% contingency would be, probably the minimum we want to go. Again, a contingency, and this gets into your world, and, certainly Dick can answer to it. You're not spending the money, it's there if you need it, across the whole project.
That's an awful low contingency rate.
Escalation.
Right.
10%, I mean,
Well,
if you're looking at any lumber, it's gonna come from Canada, and that's.
those are our friends to the north, Connie.
Will there be more of a presentation at town meeting?
Absolutely, absolutely. This was aggressive, we really wanted to try to get this for this year's town meeting, so literally, we just kind of got numbers last week. So yes, the fire department is gonna be putting out those.
Yeah, there'll be a press release coming out, there's gonna be open houses, there's gonna be a event for people to be educated, for anybody that wants to come, take tours.
Yep.
Will the open house be before town meeting?
So we're gonna have one, we're at least gonna try one during the week and one on the weekend, and if they're successful, we're gonna have more.
Just to basically-
When will the plans be available to us?
What's that?
When will the plans be available to us?
We won't have blueprints until if this passes town meeting, then the next step would be to get the blueprints. So we have drawings of what it would look like and floor plans proposed.
Yep.
But there's, those will be available, I would say, probably next week, at the end of this week, we should start pushing those out.
So the sort of, the thought process is if this does pass at town meeting, one of the first things we would do would be hiring what they call the OPM.
We have to wait to see if the override passes.
If it passes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a two-part process.
Absolutely.
So I just want to remind you that before you say passes at town meeting, don't hit the ground running until
Not at all.
it goes before the town.
Absolutely, the town.
And as a point of order, we've set the date down correctly for June 23rd, so the debt exclusion votes for this project.
Okay.
Could I just ask you guys if you've got the blueprints, does that mean you've got the builder too, or do you put the blueprints out? You put them out for a quote, right?
Oh,
One
absolutely.
quote.
So basically, you'd hire the owner's project manager, that'd be one of the first things you do. And then you would have the architectural firm come up with the actual blueprints, have the engineering done. That's what goes out to bid, then you start getting the numbers in. So in the ideal world, that would happen between now and the spring. Again, wishful thinking, it'd be awesome if we could start in the spring, so we're building through the good part of the year. Now, what we're doing too is trying to maximize, we have to keep the station running, so doing this enables us to keep it running too.
But if you don't have blueprints, that number you're using has got to be pretty loose.
That's what architects do. There's like 4 pages of design drawings. You never buy prints until you approve a project.
I understand that, I was just saying that out loud.
So part of the architect's job is to get a drawing that we all agree on, which the building committee did a great job. They minus a lot of things, that brought the cost down. But one thing they do is once we agree upon the drawings and lay out the floor plan, the design of it, then they send it to an estimator. So they're professional estimators that this architect uses, and they're the ones that set that price.
It's kind of like unit priced,
I mean, a lot of this.
just to come up with a ballpark.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's been done already. They've already, construction firm out of Boston.
It's common practice, they do this all the time.
You have renderings basically, right? You have floor plans and some renderings, but the detail's not there because that's what the blueprint would do.
Right.
John?
Go ahead, Don, I'm sorry, I'll yield to you.
So, things I'm concerned about, hot and cold zones. Space so you can put on your uniforms before you go to a fire.
Correct.
It takes it out of the bay.
Takes it out of the base.
An additional bay that's for a bigger engine.
Yeah.
Yes, for replacement for any new engines, modern day specs, right.
The decontamination area?
Yep.
Okay. And the bathrooms I know are a mess over there then, so you made it bigger than a porta potty?
Step up, yeah, it's a royal flush, it's much. Yes, all of those issues have been. Yep.
And exhaust system?
Well, we already have the exhaust system, and
It could extend over to the.
absolutely. So the system that we have will absolutely go into the new station. And that was.
I do know I've been concerned about cancer with the firefighters. So.
Absolutely.
You came in at 7.9. Was there a previous estimate? So you did, what was that?
We took out about $480,000 from their initial.
Their initial,
number.
was it, so you've already stripped out for about 500,000?
We stripped out about 500,000.
Taking out epoxy floors, we've minus windows, doors, wherever we didn't need brick, we could put block. You know, we sort of picked, downgrade the stuff that wasn't.
Yep.
Correct. Heating function.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'm sure there'll be plenty.
I guess there'll be a lot more to talk about.
All right, thank you, guys. Moving on, Article 20, Green Meadows School flooring replacement. This is a request by the district for $35,000 to replace flooring in 5 or 6 classrooms. It's been an ongoing project over there for the past several years. Anybody, Don?
Okay, so I'm a no on this one. Probably a very selfish reason. Originally came in at $30,000, 2 reasons. It came in at $30,000, and I pointed out that the lease said it has to be $35,000 for capital, and it came back to $35,000. Also, the town has put $126,000 into repair of the school buildings that didn't need, well, they needed to be done, but it should have been under the region. So I figure they owe us $30,000.
I second.
All right. Any, John?
How far along are you on the floor replacements?
This has been an ongoing project as long as I've been here. I'm not exactly sure how many rooms have been renewed. I could get that for the town meeting.
Okay, thank you.
But these are primarily in the older section of Green Meadow, right? Not necessarily the addition?
That's my understanding based on.
Okay.
Anything further? All right, Article 21, Green Meadows School parking lot repairs and fire road extension. The request on this is $35,000 as well. Bill?
I don't understand, what's a fire road at Green Meadows School?
Well, as luck would have it, we have the superintendent and the chair of the school committee with us.
Assistant superintendent.
And the superintendent. Right.
It's all open around the school. I mean, I don't understand what a fire road is. Is this just to get it to 35 grand?
This is just a poke Don, that's what this is.
Might be a wise guy question, but I mean, you gotta ask it. It just seems coincidental that it's 35 grand.
Is this something the fire department asked for?
No, the school's wide open. It's a fire road, you drive on the grass.
Well, not just that, there is an asphalt walkway all around the school presently. It may not meet the code for what technically a fire road should be, but I don't think the fire department has any problem with using it for access to any part of the building at this point. And the parking lot repair, this is from our conversations, the parking lot repairs are such that we think we can accommodate them inside the normal highway department budget. So we would respectfully request, from the select board standpoint, no action on this article. It's already on the warrant, it may be difficult to withdraw, but we have a hard time justifying it with everything else going on.
Yeah, and I
We
think,
ask you to take that under advisement.
okay, anything else?
What was the number for the parking lot repairs and fire?
That-
35,000.
35,000.
35? Same as the flooring replacement?
Yes.
Thank you.
Article 22, Green Meadows School. Let me just mention, it's probably an appropriate place to mention it. The advisory committee and the Wilbraham Finance both asked the school committee and the administration to bring capital requests to the towns as separate capital requests, and that we deal with them on a regular basis rather than on kind of an urgent basis, which has been kind of the historical approach to these, which is why we're seeing these, smaller capital requests. But, in total, they add up, and over time, obviously, they add up. So that's why we're seeing these capital requests coming in from the school district. With that said, Article 22, Green Meadows, once again, IT network switches, replacement, $92,500. Any questions, comments? Nope. These are the network switches, which I'm not sure if I tripped over one that I'd know it, but I know that we spend a lot of money buying them and replacing them because they're integral to any internet connections in any of the buildings. And they get obsolete, relatively quickly, 8 to 10 years. Phil?
With a new facilities manager coming on board, should we wait until that manager takes control of the building before we spend $100,000 on something that really none of us understand?
He or she wouldn't be in charge of Green Meadow. It would primarily be the school district. That would make.
Well, once it's our building, so we're responsible for the capital expenditures on it. So our facilities people would have an involvement at that building. There'd have to be a cooperative arrangement between the school district and our facilities person.
That's not the guy you talked about in here for 70,000. You'll never find anybody for 70,000 to take on all those buildings. You need to double that number.
Right, they have a full-time facilities person now.
Right.
Plus, I would say these being electronics, much like the computers, with the change in educational use being much more electronic. Obviously, every classroom has, my day, they had one computer if they were lucky. Now they have a computer for every child, plus other electronics. The speed of the switches is very critical to education. As these change from the old 10/100 to 1 gigabyte, and they're probably faster now. They're needed to be upgraded as this is not an annual thing, this is probably 5 to 10 years, right? We didn't get that.
Rita?
You want to repeat that? I didn't catch that on Zoom, Phil. You said I had the abacus back in my day.
Isn't it correct, or isn't there a formula that for all of our schools, when there's a capital expenditure, say for Mile Tree, Hampden kicks in a certain percentage and then, no?
Not for capital, only operating.
No.
Only operating.
Right, the operating expenses of when it comes to capital expenses for Thornton Burgess or for Green Meadows, those are 100% Hampden's responsibility. Same with the Wilbraham buildings being 100% Wilbraham's responsibility.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On something like this, could one half of it be done one year and then another half the next year? I mean, or is this something you've got to replace?
What I've heard in the conversations, Connie, is that it's less expensive to do it all at once because you have the crew there on site with their people and their equipment. So even though you might split the payments over 2 periods of time, it's going to end up costing you more, generally speaking.
I know we're trying to be proactive on these things, but I'm just curious, has there been a lack of performance with speeds at the school?
We haven't had any issues with lagging. My understanding is these switches are reaching the end of life, and when they go off, they go off. And we have all of our curriculum at this point connected to online subscriptions.
Understood, I was more curious today.
Each failure, yeah.
Have any switches in any of the schools failed?
I don't know of any major failures of switches. I think we had some wireless access points that have failed.
Wireless access points fail quite often. A switch is just basically a big router. It's, a router with 30 plug-in points instead of a router with 4 plug-in points. I don't necessarily buy that they wear out in 10 years, but, obviously, if they have engineering specs and performance specs, and an engineer can determine if they're needed or not, but, to do it all at once makes sense. I don't think it needs to be done, period, but.
Okay.
Said that, if they told us they're all 10/100s, then want to go to 1 gig, that would make sense from a performance standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think a little more detail might help it.
Yeah, but.
Okay.
But switches have to be, eventually, if they have to be addressed, they should all be addressed at once, whatever you decide to do.
All right, moving on, Article 23, Minnetonka Regional High School, request to add or replace split AC units. Total request, this is a split request between Wilbraham and Hampden. Our portion of the request is $6,812. Article 24, also the high school. This is a request to upgrade the internal two-way radio repeater. Hampden's portion of that would be $2,141. Article 25, also the high school. This is a request to upgrade the camera system. Hampden's portion of this request is $72,016. Any questions?
16.
$72,016. Article 26, also for the high school. Request for a Kubota RTV, which, if I understand it correctly, is a four-wheel drive utility vehicle. Hampden's portion of this request, $8,622. If I understand it correctly, this is a replacement of an existing piece of equipment as well.
And they'll trade the other one in.
All right, moving on. Article 27 is a lease amendment to the Hampden Landfill Solar LLC. If I understand it correctly, this is basically an administrative correction to a previously drawn border to the property. This is redrawing the boundary lines outside of the existing solar field so that it's all enclosed within it. There's no cost associated with this. This is just to cross the i's and dot, I guess we're dotting the i's and crossing the t's. Any questions on that? Article 28 is authorization to purchase conservation property on North Road. This is a request brought by the Land Trust. This is I don't know, the second or the third step in an ongoing project. Sherry, you wanna address this one?
It's hopefully just like housekeeping. Last year, the town voted to appropriate the funds to go ahead and purchase this land that will access the Mount Vision Conservation Land and provide parking and a safe entry so people can on the streets. And so when we got the go-ahead, the land trust had to purchase the land and do a land exchange with an abutter and get plans and surveys to now have that property available. It's been filed at the Registry of Deeds, so that now we have a piece of land that we can identify and go ahead with the purchase of it.
So there's no new money associated with this. This is just the authorization to proceed with the actual transfer of the property.
Yes.
All right, anybody have any questions on that? Okay. All right. Article 29, Community Preservation Committee. There are 2 requests from the Community Preservation this year. One is from the Parks and Rec for $23,000 to purchase and install 2 shade structures inside the spray park on the lawn. The amount requested here, $23,000, would purchase the equipment and pay for the installation. These are permanent metal poles with a detachable 8-foot square umbrella type structure that would be removed at the end of the summer. Any questions on that? The second request is for $27,000. This is a request also from the Land Trust for money to improve access off of North Road onto this property and create a parking space and a trailhead for access to the property across the back that we're acquiring the right-of-way to, and access to the trail system. So that's $27,000. Any questions on that? Okay.
Can I ask Sherry a question? How many parking spaces?
I guess.
Probably 6 to 8. We don't have the parking design yet, so when the money is appropriated, then we'll be able to, the budget includes money for engineering and other things, so then we'll be able to figure, but usually 6 to 8 spaces.
I would expect to be something pretty modest, given the area up there. And yeah.
I think that's that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Any further questions on that? No. Right. Article 30 is a zoning bylaw amendment requests for battery energy storage systems. I understand these are bylaws that are under review by the planning board and I guess are currently being reviewed by council. Planning board has a meeting, was it Wednesday night?
Yes. The public hearing for both of these will be Wednesday this week, Wednesday night.
So following Wednesday, there'll be more detail on these, on both of these articles, Article 30 and Article 31. Article 31 is accessory dwelling units, change to the bylaws, same situation. The details will be available after the planning board's public hearing on Wednesday. So if anybody has any questions, you can either attend that public hearing or bring them up at town meeting. Anything further on those 2? All right, Article 32, Advisory Committee Reserve Funds. We're anticipating asking for $25,000, the standard amount that we request for that. Articles 33, General Stabilization Fund, and 34, reducing the tax rate. We would anticipate taking no action on either of those because it's become our practice to do the financial transfers in the special town meeting in the fall when we have a better sense of what the revenues and expenses are. So that concludes the warrant. Unless anybody has any questions, that will also conclude the hearing. Don?
I just want to point out that on the town meeting, on the town election warrant, there was a change to the exclusion question adopted on the town and the town ballot. The reason being, there was a little bit confusion the last time. Seems that it passed at the town meeting and was still on the ballot. In addition to that, a special election for June 23rd. If the fire department schools are passed, the meeting will put on that ballot for both elections.
So the special election will be June 23rd. It'll be for the vacant select board position, and if,
The debt exclusion.
okay,
Well, even if it doesn't pass at town meeting, don't you have to have the override question on the ballot anyway? Didn't we have to have it on the senior center?
It's timing, Kathy.
I'm sorry?
It's about timing. No, it doesn't.
Okay, thank you.
all right. Very good. Unless anybody has any questions, that will conclude the hearing.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.